Hey there, my gorgeous friends, and a very happy drugstore December and happy Frugal Friday to you. In today's video, I am sharing my top 5 favorite discovery palettes from this past year that are $5 and under. And the quality of these is going to blow you away. Within this video, I'm also going to be showing you mini tutorials with each of these palettes. So if you do happen to pick them up and you're looking for some inspiration on some looks you can create with them, I got you covered. First palette I have to share with you is from LA Colors. This is their Glam palette. This was one I discovered at a Family Dollar this past year and went out on a limb because LA Color palettes can be a hit and a miss. You never really know what you're going to get with them. I can tell you with this one, oh, it's really, really, really good. And you can see that in the tutorial I'm showing you here. The pigment is incredibly rich. It's very easy to apply these eyeshadows. There is not fallout, surprisingly. I mean, it's very minimal, but it's nowhere near what you would expect for it to be for a palette of this price. And I think that this was $3, if I'm not mistaken. Now, this palette has 4 matte finish eyeshadows, 4 shimmer finish eyeshadows, and 2 highlight shades. One is more matte and one is a little bit more shimmery. And I love that they have labeled the eyeshadows in here lid, crease, highlight, because that makes it really easy for a beginner who may be starting out in eyeshadow to know where to place the eyeshadow instead of having to guess. I know Wet n Wild used to do this with their palettes too, but they've stopped doing that. So if you happen to stumble across this palette and you love the color range, and by the way, it does have a very cool toned range to it, and I love that aspect of it also because in the drugstore, I felt like we went through this wave of everything was warm and it was really hard to find cool toned neutrals, whereas now you're starting to see more cool toned neutrals being introduced into the market, and I love that. e.l.f. So e.l.f. came out, you know, the little bite-sized palettes that they have. They came out with some new ones this past year, and my most favorite one was the one called Mint Melt, and I love it for the greens. So you get 2 matte finish eyeshadows in this little palette and 2 shimmer finish eyeshadows, and once again, very high quality, will not fade, will not muddy on you, and very affordable at $3 for this little palette. And I love that it's so compact too, which makes it really easy to stick it in your bag and go. Some of those little bite-sized eyeshadow palettes from e.l.f. can be a hit and a miss. I've loved some of them, but at the same time, others have been like, yeah. And I did have a video I reviewed all of them. I want to say it was at the end of 2019, if I'm not mistaken. But I reviewed all the bite-sized palettes, and while a good majority of them were excellent, there were those few that just really didn't impress me that much and I found to be of poor quality. But thankfully, the Mint Melt one was awesome. And it was one that I did use for a while when I first received it as part of PR. So I've really enjoyed that one too. Essence came out with some really affordable palettes this past year, and I cannot remember how many in total there were. Oh, is that how many? Okay, that's how many that there were. My most favorite one out of all of the palettes that they came out with was the one called I Like to Mauve It, Mauve It. And it is because it was filled with cool toned purples, which, like the cool toned neutrals I mentioned in the beginning, are really hard to find in the drugstore. Purple in general is a really hard color to find overall, but I mean, when we're talking about cool shades, true purple eyeshadows, it's like a needle in a haystack sometimes. And quality, you wouldn't expect for, I think this was $4, if memory serves me right. You wouldn't expect for a $4 eyeshadow palette to be as good as these little guys were. And it was across the board. I think every single palette I tried from Essence that they came out with was amazing. And I was simply just speechless, honestly, because I've tried some palettes from Essence, but yeah, these were really, really awesome. And so if you've been looking for a cool toned purple palette, the green palette that they came out with as part of this collection too was really amazing. I know that you would be you would just adore those palettes. It's late here. I'm out of adjectives, okay? I've run out of words. But this was the palette that went into my travel case this past year when we took a couple trips, because I love that it's so compact and small. And again, you can create so many great everyday looks with it. And it's just wonderful. Another palette I wanted to share with you came from a friend of ours here on the channel. Shout out to Diane. Thank you so much for sending me these palettes. She sent me 2 palettes in the mail, and I had the opportunity to try them out, test them out, and she was raving about them in the note that she included with the package. And I have to tell you, they are really like, wow. And when I tell you the price, you won't believe the price. Okay, so first I'm going to show you the palette and then I'll tell you the price. And by the way, the palette that I'm getting ready to show you is the one that I'm wearing on my eyes today. So if you've been curious about this look, this is the tutorial for it. So this is the Starry Boutique Colors palette, and that's all it really is. There's no name associated with it, but it looks like this. It's got blues and greens in it, and you can find this on the Shop Miss A website for $1. $1. Can you believe that? Look at this quality. It's like, I have no words. All the shades in here are shimmers, so there is one drawback to it, but come on. Come on. It's still really fabulous. And this is one that you could mix in with other eyeshadow palettes in your collection if you are looking for more of a matte shade in the crease, etc., and you just want to use the shimmers on your lid. Amazing quality all the way around. So very special thank you to you, Diane. Thank you so much for taking the time to think of me and sending those palettes. And I completely agree with you. That became a new favorite of mine. I love this look today. It's definitely one I'm going to be recreating. And by the way, the shirt was a complete accident. I really didn't mean to match my eyeshadow here today, but hey, it works. The last eyeshadow I want to share with you that came in under $5 that I discovered this past year is another one from LA Colors, and this is their Rose palette. I mentioned this one when I first reviewed the Glam palette that I talked about in the beginning, but I didn't really get the chance to try it out on camera. Well, let me tell you, it is just as amazing as the Glam palette. Different color range here. These are much more warm shades. It reminds me a lot of the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. Not saying it's a dupe, but as far as the tones go, that's what I'm reminded of with this palette. Exceptional quality. Once again, the eyeshadows don't muddy, they don't fade. $3 for this palette. You really can't beat it. So if you happen to stumble across either the Rose palette or the Glam palette from LA Colors when you're in a Family Dollar, they are absolutely worth picking up. And I'm not sure if you can get them online. I'm going to do a little bit of research and see if I can find them online. I think the last time I talked about them, I did find out that you could get these palettes for, I want to say $1.99 on Walmart's website. I could be wrong, but yeah. So if you're interested in any of the palettes I shared with you here today, I'll try to have all of them listed and linked below in the description box. Let me know what your most favorite eyeshadow palette find under $5 was this year. Would love to hear your choices also. Thanks for being here, for taking the time to watch. I want to wish you a beautifully blessed weekend ahead and look forward to seeing you again next week.